Welcome to another episode of the Prashha Dutra show. I'm so excited that you're here. I have a story to tell. Recently, I heard this sentence. One of my clients said to me, "Oh my God, Prashha, my career is over. I'm gonna have a baby." And when she said that to me, I was completely shocked because I have a 2 year old. And in my mind, I thought about all the amazing moms in STEM that I've come across in my career so far. And Anu was actually the first one I told her about. I said, moms like Anu are the perfect example of what's possible in STEM, even if your personal life keeps getting busier every day. And no matter how much turbulence you face in your personal life, you could still be very successful in STEM. Anu has moved up the tech career ladder over the last 20 years, making an incredible impact on all her employers and clients. She's a mom of three, a fitness enthusiast, a budding career coach, and a two-time invited speaker at the British Parliament. And now she's the member of the Believe in Your Brilliance Academy as well. Today, we'll discuss how she got here, her advice to all the moms in STEM, how to balance life and family and career, and why she's so dedicated to help others at this stage of her journey. I'm so excited to have this conversation. I hope you learn as much from Anu as I have learned in the last few weeks of getting to just know her as a friend and as a client. Please make sure you ask all your questions in the chat and let's welcome Anu and get this conversation started. Hi, Anu. How are
Hi,
you?
hi, Prashad. Thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks for that glorious introduction. I always tell you, Prashad, I adore you because you believe in me
Oh.
more than I believe in myself at times. Thank you.
You're just too kind. The kindest, actually, probably the kindest person I've ever met, and that's not good for my ego.
Thank you.
I love it. So excellent, Anu. So tell us what got your STEM journey started? Where did it all begin? So let's go a little bit backwards in time and tell us about the little Anu who was thinking about this beautiful life and dream that you're living now in London.
Okay. Thank you, Prasha. So, Prasha, I was always a dreamer, always a daydreamer, a dreamer, a daydreamer, a dreamer. So, I'm from a small town in Tamil Nadu. It's called Neyveli. It's a very, so dad was an engineer, mom was a teacher. Why I got into engineering, STEM, Prasha, I'm sorry I don't have an
It's
exciting
okay.
story like, oh my God, I wanted to be an engineer, I want to build aircraft. No, it was not that because I was a child of a teacher in the
Mm,
same school my mom was also working.
mm,
So, in a small town, in those days, think about those pre social media days where we
mm.
don't think of many career options for ourselves. We just go by what our neighbor Anna does. I mean, when I say Anna, it's like by brother. What does
Yeah,
neighbor does? Like what does our parent want? It's a bit embarrassing to admit, but that was how it was.
yeah.
So, I don't know why it was called professional courses in India. You have to
Mm.
either do medicine or engineering if you're a teacher's child. And if your father is an engineer in a small town, it was like that, Prasha. So I did get the score for medicine. I got into engineering. I got into engineering, and I had like amazing 4 years of engineering. I studied well. I scored, and I got out, looked for job. And if you ask about why I got into engineering as such, this was the
Mm.
story behind it. I was put into it. I started enjoying it.
I think that's more relatable than anything else, right? Because most of us were pushed into it, and it was one of the most budding professions at the time. So you made a great choice. It brought you really far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So as you maneuvered early days of your STEM journey, becoming a new mom and, going through different challenges at workplace, what were your earliest memories of like the most challenging times early on? Because I think, like your past probably has shaped who you are today and why you care about all of this so much. That's why I'm just trying to understand, like, what was your earliest memory of having like a challenge in STEM and even recognizing that you're different and you're not one of the guys, what's your earliest memory?
Sure. Let me like start with where I exactly got my aha moment in career. Why I became very passionate about analysis and product management. So I started my career as in a call center. It was a cool job. I had to call people who wanted to close their Citibank credit cards, and I had to tell them, please don't close it. This is what we are going to do. We will waive your late payment charge. I enjoyed it. It was just for 4 months, but I will always waive it for everybody. I was always on customer side. So yeah, and then the turning point was I got my job in ABN AMRO, which is NatWest now, RBS now. So I joined ABN AMRO in 2004. That was my first job. It was almost like fresh out of college. It was an extended college. I joined in a team that was doing production support, Prasha. So I was the first line of support for trade finance applications. So early on in my career, I got I got exposed to, one, connecting to a lot of people. Everybody calls when there is an issue. So I
Yeah.
started, and you're dealing with 30, 40 applications. You have to understand what are those applications, which why all of those different countries that are processing trade finance, because ABN AMRO was a
Mm.
global bank. So Hong Kong, like you had Netherlands, you had Ireland, you had France. So that was amazing, and I realized this is what I'm enjoying. I like listening to problem, documenting it, analyzing it. Already knew that I know that I knew that I was good at it. And
Mm.
because it was a production support team, we also had to implement new projects where I had to deal with, speak to a lot of business analysts. They were my heroes, Prasha. My business analysts, I used to look at them with such wide eye. I mean, I'm talking about 20 years back when I was 20
Mm.
23. So I was like, oh my God, how they are able to write requirements. They speak to the people. So I understood, and I went and asked my manager, and I said, like, can I become a business analyst? I was just 1.5 years into my career, just as a production support triage person. And she gave me the chance. She gave me the chance. And my manager, who's my Suresh, who's my best friend now for 20 years now. So he also gave me the chance. He had an interview, internal interview. And ever since, I knew that. I mean, I'm doing this for 20 years, Prasha. I mean, though it is not the same business analysis, it has taken shape like program management, it has taken shape like platform lead, it could have been a product manager role. But eventually, I enjoy what I'm doing, that is moving banks problems from problem A to problem B, solutioning. I enjoy it. So I think that
Yeah.
was my first aha moment in
Wow.
terms of STEM career. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, as first, I love that you started at like the very grassroots level and, got your hands like dirty in terms of like doing the things that, a lot of times we don't imagine engineers doing, or like we always think about people starting from like, big titles and stuff like that. So that's really, really great. And I love that you asked. I feel like so many women
Oh
fail to
yeah.
raise their hands and ask. So what gave you the courage? What made you like of course you were young. That helps a lot of times too,
Of
but
course,
what else?
being young helps, and I would give a lot of credit to the leadership style, which is what I have adopted, Prasha, and I very dearly hold leadership style. I never felt anything. I never thought twice about asking to my manager, about reaching out to the leaders. We can go one level up and skip the level up and skip the level up. That was the kind of leadership that ABN AMRO had, and that was a game changer.
And
Why
I
I got,
agree. I think that,
I didn't need
yeah,
courage.
yeah, I think that's what's moving, like shifting in the industry from what I can tell. Because when I started in 2015, 16, 14, 15 is when I started my career. And
Mm,
I remember being able to access pretty much anyone in the
mm,
ladder, pretty much skip level managers and introductions and more casual meetings with people. And I think as the leadership has sort of phased out and, boomers are out of the workforce, the newer
mm,
crowd,
mm.
I feel like I haven't seen that kind of um, leadership, or I haven't come across, I guess, a lot of examples of like really solid leadership where there's a lot of transparency and access. Because I think that access to
Oh yeah.
multiple levels of organization early on in your career is a game changer.
Absolutely. I have worked with some wonderful leaders, Prasha. The
Mhm.
thing about leadership is you do not remember after 20 years or 5 years. If you ask me who was the best leader that you've come across in, say, Tableau, so say in Python programming, you won't remember. But you will remember how a leader would have made you feel. You would know who was the leader who always had that willingness to go and reach out. And that is why I'm like a I'm so passionate about this human centered leadership, talking about emotional intelligence. That's why I want to advocate it and walk the talk in my style of working and team management as well, Prasha.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us more about human-centered leadership. What is that, and what can women take from that?
Oh, absolutely. So, human centered leadership, it's pretty much self explanatory kind of thing,
Mm,
Prasha, but it is so underrated. Um, in today's world, especially with artificial intelligence is becoming more important than emotional intelligence. It would never be, it can never be. There was this recent post that I read, that there was this automatically triggered post that, do you miss me? It is about a contraceptive pill, which was
mm,
automatically triggered because it was just a mass marketing that AI had triggered. And there were some women who felt triggered, right? What was missing there? Was it the technology that was missing there? It was emotional intelligence that was missing there. I
mm,
don't think any artificial intelligence, any amount of technology can replace the human element of leadership, human element of looking at a peer. When I say leadership, you don't have to be a CEO, you don't have to be leading a team of 100,000. I'm not you Even if you're responsible for one other person as a peer, you are a leader, right?
mhm,
You if you're This is the thing, like somehow managers own the deliverables and they don't own the people. You have to understand, you don't
mm,
own the people who are doing the deliverables for you. You just own your deliverables. Maybe to support with the deliverables, you are given some more people to work along with you.
mm,
You don't own the people. That is why it
mm,
is so important, especially for women, because women,
mm,
we do, it is I'm not saying, I'm not speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for you. It is statistics that
yeah,
women don't ask in a meeting room. For a woman to, even if she has brilliant ideas, for her to speak up, it is going to take a lot of time. So for human centered leadership is for everybody. And this is I went for this conference where this army leader, who was actually leading a team of 200 people, and he was leading in, it was in an actual bombing situation in Afghanistan. He was Major Dean Canham, his name is. He says he put human centered leadership when lives were at stake. If an
mm,
army leader who can take a human centered approach when lives were at stake, why can't us?
mm,
What is going to happen if that deliverable is going to be delayed by 2 more days because your employee is going through some mental crisis or whatever crisis? What is going to happen? Show me
mm.
some proof. Just because of delay of 2 days for a project, show me some proof that any bank or an organization came crashing down the roof. I haven't seen a
Yeah.
proof.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what are some of the ac actionable things that people can start doing, managers can do for their teams that are, sort of uh, grounded in human-centered relationships? Give us some examples of actions that we can expect human-centered leaders to showcase at work.
Definitely, Prasha. Say, I don't want to mention this, but I don't want to take an example, but this is the this is the first example that comes to my mind. So I was going through without getting into a lot of details, like I was going through a battle where I had to also lead a project. It was a
Mm,
technology transformation project where I had 10 BAs, 10 seasoned BAs delivering for 10 different projects, and also my own project. So you can imagine the stress. At the same time, I was also going through child custody issues, and I also was going through the divorce. So it was a situation where I had to be given the trust. My manager had to give me the, put the trust in me, so that if Anu, even if Anu does not send this email because she is going through something, if she doesn't send it by 5 p.m. today, she will send it by 12 p.m. If 12 a.m. If she doesn't do it today, she will definitely come back, and she knows how to handle the clients on why she was not able to. She knows how to professionally manage. I was given that kind of trust, Prasha.
Mm,
I was just told that, Anu, we are not even going to follow up with you. You know what to do. It is your project. We are not. I was given that kind of trust by my managers. And at that time, I was not even in the UK. I was handling the UK project from India. I was trusted completely. And at that moment, imagine if I was going through all of this and I was told that, where is this email? What happened? Where is the report? Imagine how I would have handled. I would have crumbled, right? I'm a human
mm,
being. I would have crumbled. That is why. And every deliverable was on time. And I also managed my personal. That is because you look at your employee as a human being, as some life happens to all of us. That is exactly
mm.
why, if I were to say one thing, keep it a trust based relationship. Trust based, because after all, it is corporate. After all, we are not family, right? So it is going to be just trust based, mutual trust based employee
Yeah, yeah,
relationship.
absolutely. Yeah. No, you bring up some really great points because I think people first is not a value anymore in a lot of organization, even though it's the tagline. But
Mm.
that's sort of dwindling away, especially after COVID. I feel like COVID should have made us more empathetic, but it went the other way. I don't know how it because of the social
Mm.
distancing or physical distancing or whatever. I feel like we're less empathetic, we're less um, considerate, we are less connected. And I think
Yeah.
that shows in the workforce as well as the toxic workplace
Mm.
percentages go up. And it's, again, minorities are the biggest ones to struggle because minorities also come with a lot of intersectionality, which is what you're talking about, the intersection of like the complicated family dynamics, the intersection of parenthood, the intersection of pregnancy, the intersection of infertility, all so many layers that impact minority population way more than it does the
Yeah.
majority population. I
Yeah.
think if our values are not where they need to be, definitely minorities struggle more. And then again, then we talk about, oh, why are there enough women in STEM? Why is there not more diversity? But these places are not built with the human centered approach that you're talking about. And even if the ones that were built, because I saw organizations move away from that human centered leadership
Yeah.
just to prioritize profits and just to prioritize, like you said, deliverables and time and way more money centered, and which is capitalism, sure, like that's what capitalism is. But I think unless something really drastically changes in terms of values and
Yeah.
how you're putting this for human centered leadership, I feel like it's really really hard for organizations to have sustainable growth, because that's the other part too, right? Like you can peak. What's happening with so many of these startups that are falling apart, right? Like they just didn't were not built on the right foundations and the values. So these are all just really important points, I think, for people, and especially minorities in STEM and complex minorities with like all these intersectionalities. Usually are women. It ends up being women, most
Yeah.
women, and I'm not even going to say women of colors, most women, right? Because women in general have to bear the child, have to do all these other things, have to, and then yeah, I've seen it so many times that there's so many more complications, and managers are failing to like read the room and help people out.
Mm.
So and you also brought a great point, which made me think, is like, when we talk about like the fear that my client had, that, oh my god, I'm pregnant, what's going to happen to
Mm.
my career, is a
Mm.
valid fear. Would you agree? Like
Mm.
it's a valid fear because of lack of human centered leadership.
It is very, very valid,
Mm,
Prasha. Definitely. See, it is going to be, it is a major life event, having a baby, having a child, being responsible for another tiny human being who have to grow till 2021. My daughter is 20. Still, I am responsible. Still, she calls me mom. So, motherhood, I would say, it is like a heartbeat, right? For us, it is like heartbeat. Along with that, we are walking, we are talking on this podcast, but our heartbeat is always going to be motherhood. So what
mm,
I would say, definitely lack of human centered leadership is, I mean, motherhood is a basic um, thing that most, I mean, any woman who would want to get experience it, it is a basic thing. If that gives us fear, where are we? I mean, where is our
Mm,
corporate leading to? If that can, we are not supposed to, aren't the policies, aren't the way it is structured, should be more supportive so that we will not have any fear and embrace it, rather. Embrace the
mm,
beautiful ways in our life.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's really sad. I think it's really scary. And I think the other place that we've sort of failed as a society is to raise women to be able to embrace the feminine side, especially if they're more interested in the STEM fields and stuff. So I feel like a lot of times there's a lot of like I feel like because it's such a masculine field, I think somewhere we lose our femininity and we
mm,
just have to adopt to the masculine to even survive on a daily basis, whether it's
mm,
your hairstyle, whether it's the way you dress up and you're trying to just like hide yourself. And I think that leads to more confusing, you know, pregnancies or confusing like, oh, wait, I have to be the feminine, I have to do all these things. It's like very confusing. I felt it. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but people I speak to, I definitely feel that there's an imbalance of the masculine and the feminine. And more than life balance, I think it's that balance of, feminine and masculine. More than work life balance, I always ask my clients about like this balance of those two sort of energies and two sort of ways of life. Because if you don't have any connection to the feminine, you're basically going to have a very difficult time like embracing the most important time of your life if you choose to have it. And I think even if you look at people who are going through infertility, right? Like it's the same way. It's like you're such high performers, so masculine,
yeah.
get it
Mm,
done. And then when
mm,
it doesn't get done, like that's how I felt for 5 years going through fertility challenges. I was like, why can't I do it? Like I'm so action oriented, so masculine. You said
mm,
do this, do this, do this, and I did. Why it didn't work? And so
mm.
I feel like that's a huge part of all of this too. I think more than work life balance, what women are facing, especially in STEM and male dominated fields, is the energetic imbalance of masculine and feminine. Would you agree to that? What are your thoughts on
I
it?
I really like this balance better, Prasha. I never signed up to work-life balance. Work is a part of
Mm,
life, right? Where is this work-life balance? So, do you mean that work is like we are not doing alive, or there is no life in work, or you're saying,
mhm.
feminine and masculine balance? I'm able to make more sense of it. You said it beautifully, actually.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Okay, so now let's talk more about like and because the other challenge that we were talking about before we started recording is that women are having children later in life too. So
Hmm.
they are actually having kids, and you're a great example. You had kids almost throughout your whole journey
Yeah.
so far, and so what is your advice to women who are having children a little later in life, yet they are facing like this big step up in their career,
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
workplace is not very conducive to that kind of growth, or not as open-minded, or not as supportive, especially like these micromanagers and small teams. And
Hmm.
it's not so much the whole organization. I think the organizations have good ideas and plans and
Hmm.
values, but they never just sort of flow through the pipeline. So what are your suggestions to some of these really talented women at the tipping point of their careers, really actually starting to cash in on all the work they've done in the last 5, 10 years, and now hit with the most beautiful gift of pregnancy? What are
Hmm.
your suggestions on how to manage that at different levels of your career?
Thank you, Prasha. I mean, there is no one right answer. It is about what you want more and what you want less. So it is absolutely okay to balance both. If you want to focus completely, you want to give 99% to your newborn, and you want to just give 1% to the work, it's fine. If it is the other way, you are a super career ambitious woman, it is still fine. What is not fine is you want to give 99% to the child, but you are actually forced to give 99% in the work.
Mm,
That is not fine, because you are not being you're that is definitely a problem that needs to be solved.
mm,
And you know ho- for me, I had my little one is 4. He turned 4 yesterday. So yeah, so I had my child when I was 39, Prasha, in the peak of my
mm,
career. Like, I was doing this identity and access management project across Regan and General. I was like feeling so very happy about
Wow.
it. But yeah, it happened, life happens. So what I did was, I didn't wait till I started showing, or let us keep it as much as. I didn't do that, Prasha. Why? What is the need to do it? If we are not even able to go and share such a natural process in our life, then we are with the wrong manager, wrong company, right?
Mm,
So I had a very good manager. I went and told him, like, early on, and I told him that I'm going to be in work, complete this project for another 6 months until this. And I started mapping out. I started the
mm,
transition plan well ahead. I started by third month of my pregnancy. Across
mm,
my along my pregnancy, I was also mapping the project. Like how we used to do the scans, I was like, okay, by eighth month I should have had these things ready. I was parallelly doing project along with pregnancy, right? And because that will keep us calm as well, and you're also delivering what you had committed, and it
mm,
also gives you time to naturally transition, hand it over to whoever who is taking over from you. So that is one thing. And if an advice for career oriented women, please do not take a very long break. Don't
mm.
wait till, let my child start going to school, let my child
Yeah.
stop sleeping with me, let he's still dependent on me. I understand it, which is absolutely okay. That is what I said. It is okay to want
Mm,
both. But if you want to be career focused and you also want the parenting, we have to kind of make a balance, like get better
trade-off.
childcare choices,
Yeah.
ask for support, take all the support
Mm,
that we need, because it needs a village to raise, right? And I would advise not to take too long a break. How much
mm,
is too long is every individual to decide. But if you start, keep the length according to what you want, how much rest and recovery you need, not based on how much time the family needs or how much time you think your child would need. Child would be
mm,
fine, Pasha. I'll tell this funny incident. My son, I think he was 5 at that time. He went for his first, it was a camping trip where we were not able to contact through phone. It was like a 3 day. I was like making a big drama at home. Oh, my mother instinct. I can sense that he is crying for mom. I did all of that. So and I was like, literally, I was making the whole family miserable. And after that, my son comes back up, like, Rushi, did you miss mom? Sorry, mom, I didn't think of you. It was so much fun. So, just a funny thing I remembered, but it's okay. They will be absolutely
yeah.
okay. You don't have to put your life or anything, your fitness
On hold.
or your career or anything in the back pedestal just because
Mm,
you have to raise. You will raise. It's like heartbeat.
yeah.
We Motherhood is our heartbeat. We will definitely keep it running.
Yeah, all mothers are the best mothers, right? For their
Oh
children,
yes. Oh yes.
however you do it. And I think
Yes.
it's the peril of modern parenting. I think a lot, again, that's the same thing. Like we were not, at least I wasn't. I am not sure about everyone listening, but very few women were taught the feminine side of things. Just in general, like the needs of the child and then your needs, and like you literally are not even taught about pregnancy at all. There's no education, there's no conversation, which is fine. But I feel like that leaves us into a abyss of like, okay, these are all the choices, and then we try to follow our parents, or we try to overcome for their failures. We're like, my mom wasn't home, so I'm gonna be home, and we're making all these decisions just to create more negativity, resentment, without having clear clarity on our goals. And our
Yeah.
parents did it because they were clear on their goals. They were like, you kids are my life, that's it. That your
Yeah.
mom's happy with that. That was her goal. She has no, even though sometimes we, when we have traditional mothers, and we women who stayed at home and stuff like that, there is a lot of like kids who are like, mom, you need to work, and you need, like, we try to push them, and they're like, no, we're really happy, like, don't mess with our lives, like, we love it this way. So I feel like there's this clarity that they have and you don't have it. And so if you're going to do it a certain way, um you have the ability to do it however you wish to do it. And again, the part of modern parenting is that there's a lot of individualism in the kids as well, and in you as well, and it's not as it used to be. So trying to recreate that old structure, the old family structure, is going to probably cost you more in the long run, because I do see women who are going back to work after a break, and how difficult it is to get started again. And then on top of it, the resentment that you build, the, the even that over attachment with the child and not letting them
Oh,
live their
yes.
life and doing their things, all of that. There's a lot of positives, but there's a lot of negatives too. However, the only way to know what's the right choice is to be super clear on what you want, and
Correct.
then not attaching your worth to anything else apart from that, and you do it in your flavor. Someone can say Indra Nooyi was the best mom, and some might say she was the worst. And it's our kids to
Absolutely.
decide. The only people who can decide is the people involved. So don't do it just because of what others are thinking. It's the same. I'll tell a story. I digress, but I'll tell a really cool story on breastfeeding, which I think moms will resonate with. I had my mother-in-law and my mom both are working women, right? So as soon as the baby, like it was time for the baby, they were telling me, don't do breastfeeding. Like that was it was so weird, like, right? Like otherwise mothers and mother-in-laws are like forcing you. My
Yeah.
family was like, don't do it. And I'm like, what do you mean? And so I went the other way. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna do it. Like, why are you telling me not to do it? Like, do as much as you can and then forget about it. Like, don't,
Mm.
because my mom's thought was, she's like, you're not designed for it. Like, you're gonna fall apart. Like, it's really hard. It's yes, it's worth it. It's valuable, but you it's just going to be another huge problem, and an issue for you to deal with on top of mental health and on top of sleep and all that. So balance it, or just don't do it. You have our blessings. And I thought that was so wonderful of them to say that. And I tell everybody now, it's like there's no right way to raise your child. Every way
No.
is the right way. You choose. Do breastfeeding, don't do breastfeeding, and it's none of anyone's business either to decide, because you just don't know the behind the scenes, right? Like, you see on Instagram, I was seeing some people saying, oh, I do breastfeeding. I'm like, no way. Like, there's no way in hell, there's no way that you are breastfeeding. Like, it's not possible. especially especially the whole day that you showed me on your Instagram reel looks fake. So I feel like just adjusting your lifestyle to meet these social standards, and then deciding that, oh, this is a good mom and that is a bad mom, and this, it's really hard for us to say, because when we were growing up, my mom was at work,
Yeah.
and I thought she was the worst mom. I really did, right? But then when I grew up and I started doing my things, my whole academy is based on what she taught us, you know?
Mm.
And so it's
Mm.
like, okay, in the moment you might be the bad guy, but it's all going to pan out just fine in the end. And to your point, it's like, there's no such thing as balance. It's just about in being, having clarity, and protecting what's important to you, um, the best you can without hurting anybody. Because when you try to protect the child, you actually end up hurting yourself, right? A
Yeah.
lot of times. And then you raise like really needy children, and you have all this like negativity,
Yeah.
in that relationship as well. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And at the end of the day, we need to make sure that because we are saying yes to somebody, even if it's the love of your life, even if it's your child, you shouldn't be constantly saying no to yourself. Once
Yeah.
is fine, like you want to actually watch Netflix, but the child wants to go to the park. That is fine. I'm not saying those little things, but I'm talking about these big decisions like letting your career go because your child will not doesn't want, because he will cry when he's 2 year old. When he is 14-year old, if you go into his room, he or she will say, please mom, what are you doing here? So what are you going to do then?
Love
So
it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So I know you mentioned, and just to switch gears, these are such great points, and I feel like every expecting mom or moms who are confused should definitely listen to this. Are there any, before we move into the next subject, are there any books or tools that people could refer to, or even like gift their managers or buy for themselves, that could help them understand human centered leadership a little bit better? I know you have two talks that you gave at the British Parliament. We'll definitely link them as well. But what other resources you think that managers can use, as well as team people, because self leadership is also a big part, right? So if you're not leading yourself, then you can't expect your manager to just lead you as well. So what are some resources on human centered leadership that people can refer to?
Definitely, Prasha. I will link it up to you. First, believe in human centered leadership. That is step one. Without believing, without having that passion, yes, I'm going to make some changes. It's going to be hard. It's going, suddenly we cannot shift our thoughts from, okay, ten deliverables per day to suddenly, pleasing or making 10 of my employees happy per day. That shift is going to be hard. But once you make that decision, there is this wonderful person called Kul Mahi. He is very passionate about this human centered leadership, and he constantly does podcasts, and he does conferences, and I really learn a lot from him. I'll link it the link I'll send you the link, Prasha, so that we can share with the audience later.
I love it. Excellent. I just definitely want to do that. And one other thing I want to add was you mentioned a great point about being proactive and building the plan for your pregnancy and maternity leave and things like that. That's incredible. Also, planning your maternity properly, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, 1 year, whatever you want to do, make sure it's aligned with your goals and what you're wanting to do. Um, the third one was support, and we'll
Mm,
come to that in a second, having a lot of
mm,
support from everybody. But the first point around telling people, um, you're right. If you have a phenomenal manager, great trust, great organization, good culture, go for it. What has worked a lot for people who are in toxic teams, I want to just touch on that as well. So women who
mm,
are like more in the negative side of things know what to do. Is usually my suggestion is, depending on how bad things are, waiting a little bit, 6 months, 7 months, especially if it's a toxic manager, really poor
yeah,
team, you can still start to plan everything and work on things that are easy for transition. But telling a little bit later in the timeline
yeah,
would help contain some of the bias. That if you
absolutely.
give them enough time sometimes and they're super biased and they don't like you anyways, then they'll start to phase you out or try to do
Truly,
something like take their project away. And there's a lot of those incidents I've heard in, even in big
true.
companies, that happen. And so yeah, I feel like it's a personal decision again when to tell. But the biggest thing you have to use, like Anu said, you have to use your emotional intelligence to figure out, is this an ally? Is this a leader? Is this a friend?
Correct.
Is this like, where are they in my life that I can actually do this sooner than later? And of course, depending on the organization and the rules that they have as well, you could work with that. However, don't be surprised, because we did have someone in the academy, and this was really sad,
Mm,
that she was fired from a job in 4 weeks because she had to go drop off her son. And it was just like, what? Like, what do
wow.
you expect, to not drop off their kids? Like,
Mm,
so that's what I'm trying to say, is like, I think you have to really practice your judgment,
yeah.
and your relationship with the team and the company, to then make the wisest decision that's best for you. And we'll cover it up in support as well, on how you can seek
Absolutely.
support as well to get the right answer. But yeah, that was just something I want to add. So how does that sit with you?
Definitely, definitely, Prashant. That's the thing that I love about believe in your brilliance academy. Like the wonderful work that I'm not saying because you are here in front of me. I tell this to everybody all the time. Like Prasha is the wind beneath my wings. Like is
Oh,
where else, Prasha, we get to meet so many women with so many diverse backgrounds, problems. That see, I had a very smooth manager where I was able to go and tell him when I was in my third month of pregnancy. But what
mm,
about somebody who can't even drop their kid? So this is the kind of community feel that I love about the academy, Prasha, where we get to learn about so many women, about not just their problems but also their successes. I was like mind blown yesterday when somebody said, like, passingly said, somebody in the academy, Krishna, I think, mystery, she said, like, I know how to fly an aircraft. No way, except your world, Prasha, I would meet somebody who's in a corporate who would casually say that they can fly an aircraft. Yeah, it's amazing. Like,
yeah,
I
it's super
thoroughly
cool.
enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're right. Like, I think having that community, that diverse experiences, helps you make these decisions easier and better. And I feel like a
Mm,
lot of women are stuck in silos. They're the only woman in the room. They're the only woman in the company. They're the only woman in the team. Like, they're just stuck, and everything around them is just not supporting their growth and their family growth and their personal growth and professional growth. And I think that's where like coaching comes in. So now switching gears to this next segment, which is a lot about your journey into, what made you seek a coach? Like, where were you struggling with support, and what made you be like, let's find somebody who can help us?
right, Prasha. So it is very much, it is very, very, I was guilty of it too. Oh, I have 20 years experience. I've done so much. I read a lot of books. I listen to these amazing podcasts. What else? Like, why should we invest in a coach? I'm
Mm,
guilty of doing all that too, Prasha. I just came across your post, I think on LinkedIn or something. It was an instant connect, but still I did not go ahead and take the decision. I was still, dilly dallying about it. Oh my God, and all that. But after I have started with you, it was just like one call. I think I knew what is it that I'm missing. I knew what is that major, let it be one particular vitamin, maybe vitamin P, vitamin Prasha that I was missing. I mean, Prasha, like I have so many ambitions, and yes, to achieve an ambition it requires hard work. And when we are when we are in our 20s, when we are like, on our own, it might have been easy. The only problem was to get a direction, but we have a lot of time. But as of
mm,
now, you are a mom of three. You are already, in a full-time job, in a pretty demanding job, and you have all these aspirations. Oh my God, I want to work. I want to help women. I want to, speak more about human-centered leadership. I want to make a mark in this particular emotional intelligence field. I just want to do it. Where? How? I was wanting to do it for 5 6 years now. Prasha, always it was
mm,
always in the want section, but you
mm.
moved it into in progress section, right, Prasha? I'll give it to you. You moved it into in progress section. I'm not saying you are going to sit with me, write what I'm going to write, but I'm not saying this. It is James Clear who says that, who has written Atomic Habits. Having an accountability partner is going to increase your productivity. It is going to
Mm,
improve your sticking to anything consistently, right? It is
yeah.
it is a proven statistics based science. So,
Mm,
a coach is your accountability partner, your cheerleader, your friend, your mentor. And that's how I see you. And I'm like, everybody I'm dragging and saying, have a coach, hire a coach, invest in yourself. It is like, I want to get fit, but I will not invest in a dumbbell. I want to get fit, but no, I won't go
mm.
to the gym. I won't even pay for YouTube subscription to go and look at some videos. It's like that.
Yeah,
Come on, use up the
yeah.
tools, because coaches you have done it with 200 odd women. You would have seen it all. You would have, and and because you see it from a third person angle, I when I want to do me, I get overwhelmed. You are looking at it with a mentor's angle, so you will always know how exactly. Oh, this is where you are going wrong, Anu. Practice in public. Go on, write on LinkedIn. Practice in public, fail in public, succeed in public. I wouldn't do it, Prasha. 3 months back, if you had said like, Anu, come on podcast, I'm like, Prasha, are you joking? But here I am, having a conversation as if it just feels like a weekly conversation that we
Mm.
have. And I'm realizing that we are on live. It slightly gives me that, oh. But yeah, like I'll tell this openly, Prasha. Coaches and you are the wind beneath the wings. We are going to fly, but you kind of give that direction. A lot of tools that I have learned from you, Prasha. Like I plan out even my um, even my mindful coffee time. I put it into the calendar, Prasha, ever since you have said. And it
Mm,
works. It works like a miracle. And did I not know anything? Was I a bad person, or was I an incapable person? No. Coach is just there to kind of make your better version the best version. That's how I see
yeah,
it. And that's why
love
everybody
it.
should have a coach. If anybody is kind of considering or dilly dallying, please DM me, please talk to me. I'll convince you.
I love it. I love it. You're so, so kind. I'm going to keep listening to this on repeat when I need affirmations. So I love it. Um, but I
Yeah.
think one of the biggest things, and I know you were hesitant, right? I think that is
Mm,
another part where you were talking about support as a mom, but in general, women struggle to ask for support because again we've sort of, I don't know why this happened to our generation more than others. It's like
mm,
we were taught to be independent and self-reliant, and like it just went to a point where it's like, oh my god, I'm alone on an island and nobody will help me. In fact, I know women who won't even ask their husband for help. Like that,
mm,
like that's the kind of society we live in. Like I
Yeah.
talk to so many people on a daily basis on these calls, and they're like, my biggest issue is that my husband is supporting me for last 3 months. And I'm like, what's the issue in that? Like, if he was sick or if he was out of job, you would support him, right? It's like, oh yeah, but my money, my stuff. So I feel like again, same thing. We come back to that masculine, feminine. It's like we've just sort of disrupted the balance somewhere, and of course not intentionally, but
Yeah.
unintentionally. And I think a lot of the things that we're doing in the program are a lot about like balancing that. And I think that's where you were at, where you're like, okay, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure if this can work for me. I'm so nervous. I'm so scared. And 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 I think that's where women struggle, is like, I'm really self-reliant, I've done everything on my own, why do I need something now? What would you say to them to like rephrase that, or what did you say to yourself to sort of
Mm.
rephrase that it's okay to ask for help, it's okay that someone knows something that I don't know? How did you change that for yourself?
I quite performed badly there, Prasha. I was so, I don't know, should you call it self-respect or ego? I don't know. I was so poor in asking for help. I'm like, I can be a 3 a.m. friend. Like, I I would never look down upon anybody who calls me to ask for help. I will never. But I don't know where it came into my head that don't go and ask for help. They might think that you are an intrusion, or they, don't bother them. Don't, I mean, maybe she is having something else. And I really struggled, Prash. I really
Mm,
struggled when, especially when I was a, when I came to this country. I think Shreya was 10 and Rishi was 5. There have been days where I have wished, can somebody make me coffee today? I didn't want to ask. Like, there have been, like, oh my god, I don't want to get emotional here, but, and I was trying to be too perfect. Oh, I should not put pizza in the oven for 2 days in a row for kids. So what? So what? Ask for help, take all the help. If you want to order in food, do it. If you want to call somebody or you text somebody that, I just want to talk to you. I wish I had done it better. And in the hindsight, I know. But at that time, I don't know, Brasha. Maybe it was my way of
yeah.
feeling too protective. Of, I had gone
Mm,
through some turmoil. I was very, I don't know
mm,
what I was protecting.
yeah.
But this version of Anu knows that, definitely, asking for help is okay. People would love to help you. They'll be happy to
Mm.
help you. They'll be happy that you reached out to them.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's hard. Even when I first got a coach, the first 3 months, it was so confusing that somebody knew more than me. And I remember like even fighting back sometimes, like just in my head or even on the call with my coach. I'm like, but I know that. I know that. Like, why are you telling me the same thing I know? Like, it took me a while to get back into the student and, kind of mindset to sort of start absorbing that it's just a form of knowledge. It's just a form of, accepting help. And for moms and for women, it's really important. We've lost our societal fabric of communities. We've lost our, support systems. We're immigrants. We don't have our moms at our beck and call. We don't have our aunts and uncles and all the things that we had before. It's gone. So now in the modern setup, it's like we need to reach out to some of these people who have what we want and who can guide us and who are willing to do it, at again, like if you think about the long scheme of things, at a very minimum charge. Like, again, I think about it like, okay, in 30 years of my life, if I invested 10% of my income, totally worth it, because
Yeah.
it's going to help me develop my skill set and learn new things. Now, looking at your experience in the academy, what has been your most favorite tool? What is the most favorite thing you've learned?
Oh, favorite tool in the sense, like pulling the rubber band is one thing. Like every time I think of Prasha, I'm like, just for other people who are listening, whenever there is an intrusive thought that is not serving you, so Prasha says, like, wear a rubber band and just pull it. She says, like, your hands should be red. Because we get so many negative thoughts, like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I should not, maybe I'm not good in multitasking. So every time I keep pulling the rubber band. So that is one tool.
Mm,
Very simple tool, but it's a game changer, Prasha. And another
yeah.
thing where, I don't know whether if I can share this, if it is a academy thing, the
Oh,
where
shit.
we work on this version 1 to version 2 transformation Excel sheet, where we write where we are now, and then we visualize and write where the version 2.0. I have named my version Anya. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that is also something that is extremely powerful. But there is it is so hard to pick one, Prasha. There is like a truckload of wealth of knowledge there, like hours and hours and hours of knowledge there. Like I
Mm-hmm.
am like putting like 20-30% of my week, because like there is so much. It is not that I have to listen. It is like I want to listen to the videos that you have posted. There's so much of research that you have done.
Yeah.
You have spoken to many coaches. You have learned from your experience talking to other people. So it is like everything is so good. Yeah, yeah. But
I
if you
love
were
it.
ask me to pick two, I just wanted to tell these two.
I love it. Yeah, those are again some really intelligent people have helped me learn that about myself, and I've sort of brought it to you guys in the format that I think would work for you at this stage of your life. And I think that's another thing that sometimes when people think of coaching, and that's how I my coaching used to be in the past. It's more like one-on-ones. We meet, we solve ad hoc stuff, and we move on. And I think what has been really great about this year is like all of that has sort of culminated into the program that we've built, and the like sort of the backbone and the pillars and the structures that we've put in. And some of the pillars that we have now are definitely like the belief. Action times belief is results. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Feminine masculine communication,
Yes.
huge. Like I think it's so important for STEM women and women in corporate America, or corporate life anyways, to learn those nuances of like
Even
what do
like
I need to respond with.
networking skills, like how to write. I mean, how to not sound like chat gpt. It is so important. It is so important that
Yeah,
I always loved
yeah,
writing. And I don't know. I'm more constantly in a battle whether to use the artificial intelligence or not use, because we don't want to sound artificial as well, right? But is it like wrong to not learn the artificial intelligence tool? So you actually have this amazing LinkedIn DM mastery course, which is going to run for 8 weeks or 4 weeks now,
yeah,
Prasha. So which has made me
yeah.
learn a lot, and my network is growing a lot, Prasha. Like I'm telling you here.
I love it. Yeah, so that's what I think. Those are the pillars, and then the belief and your higher version. Then we go into strategy and so many things to do with strategy, depending on the goals you have, and if it's the 200K jobs, or I mean, it's funny because we've only had 250K offers, and I'm like, we should change it. We should move to 250K, not 200K.
Yeah.
But it's really exciting to see it all come together with you guys. And a lot of this audience that I've served this year is very new to my stuff. Before, it used to be people who followed me for 4 years on Instagram, and then they're like, oh, we know everything about you and your family, and now it's like random strangers from the universe just showing up. So it's been really fun to sort of build it to a place where we can just plug and play anybody who comes, and we can guide you every step of the way. And to your point, Anu, it's a lot about that progress you made. It's not about, I don't think coaching is about getting that job. If you're thinking about it like that, I'm not the coach for you. I say this all the time. I really don't care about that next job. But I care about giving you the systems and the methods that will help you get hundreds of jobs. All the jobs you'll ever need in your life, you'll get. All the clarity you ever need in your life, you'll get. All the support you want to create at every stage of your life, you'll get. But yeah, it's the big picture stuff, not just like the next goal and the next job. Because then what? What are you going to do in 2 years, right? Like, you're going to come back to me again. And I would rather be working on better goals at that time rather than another job search. And I feel like that's been the distinguishing factor in what I do versus traditional career coaching. And nothing, not to take away from that, because some people just need that. That's why we have such a long vetting process before we bring and invite somebody into the program. Because one, we do want the right people in the program, because we have such a intimate community. But two, because I can't help everybody who just wants a job or who wants something different. And I tell them all the time, I have friends who are so much better at job search than I'll ever be. And so go to them. But if you're looking for clarity, strategy, career planning, communication skills, if you're looking for all the stuff in one place, then this academy is definitely the perfect place for you. And I think you would
You
agree, Anu.
you make redundancy proof hearts, Prasha. You should say this actually. You make hearts and minds redundancy proof. Even if we were to, unfortunately, we were to go through redundancy, our hearts are already redundancy proof. We know how to come back to the game. So that's
I love it.
amazing. Yeah.
I love it. Excellent, excellent. So now tell us just a couple of more questions and I'll let you go. But tell me, if someone's still hesitant about joining the academy or doing something like this, where somebody could come in and really help them with their life
Mm.
in a very transformational way, and
Okay.
they're hesitant. They're like, I'm not ready. I don't think so. This is not important. Like, we make all the excuses in the world. You tried to pull that off with me too.
You
And I'm like, no, no,
did.
no, 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 don't do it. So what would be your suggestion? Because we all do that. I've done it to my coaches also, so you're not alone. But what would be your suggestion to them? Is like, okay, just take the plunge and figure this, and everything will work out. Just do it. It's not as complicated and dramatic that they're making it to be.
Sure. I mean, I would say let's let whoever it who's considering, let them not do for me, let them not do for you, Prasha. You know, I like writing. When you write, just write what is it that for the last 5 6 years you wanted to do. Have you done it? Just keep ticking. And how badly you want it in your life. Have you done it? What have you acted so far? If the answers are, I so badly want it, but I haven't still started. I'm dreaming about it. I'm building dream castles like how Anu was. Then that is your answer. So, what is the price? What is the price that you're going to pay for the time? Are you going to still be having all those things in the wish list for another 5 years? Would you be happy? That is what I would say. Like, to make the call, if you write it down and ask your own self, you'll get the answers. It doesn't need to come from Anu, Prasha, Anupama, anybody.
I love it. I love it. I'm actually going to add it to my pre-call homework. That's a great idea. I think that's what people should do before they come on the call.
You asked me,
It's like
Prasha. I remember that.
it's like you want the 200K job. What the hell have you done in the last 6 months? And most people cannot tell me what
Yeah.
they've done apart from
Mhm.
worrying. Like, that's what everybody has like a gold medal in: worrying, overthinking, destroying your mental health. I spoke to somebody the other day who actually has developed actual physical illnesses and needs surgery because of the amount of stress they're going through. Is the same thing that we heard a few weeks ago around somebody dying of suicide because of the workplace stress. Very young girl. And so we're all crumbling under this pressure. I work with like high performers like yourself, I know people working at these big companies still struggling with work life balance and all of this stuff.
Mhm.
I feel like you're going to fall apart if you don't take care of this foundational thing, and just do it once every year. You don't have to do it for the rest of your life. Do it once every year, do it once every 2 years. Business owners do it every month. Like, we do it every month because that's the nature of our lifestyle and the nature of
Yeah.
our business as well. But
Mm.
if you are just like a person who's doing like normal, like TPMs, level 6, like level 4 to 6, like let's say level 3 to 6 kind of range, just do it once a year. Just do it once a year. 5% of your income goes towards investing in yourself, and that is the biggest human resource you have. This is it. That you don't get another body, you don't get another mind, you don't
Mm.
get another life. This is all you get. And so I feel like the obsession with learning more and more technical skills is not the way to leverage.
Mm.
It's not the leverage you think you will get in the job interviews, in the industry, in the market, in promotions. You are the leverage. No, you're it. And
Absolutely.
you completely ignore that part and you expect external things to satisfy that for you. And then you get frustrated that why am I not getting it? So if you want to leverage the one big resource you have, right?
Correct.
You have to prioritize it. You have to spend money on it. You have to spend time on it. You have to spend focus on it. And then, even if you don't get the goal, you'd be happy because you
Yeah.
developed yourself through that
Yeah.
progress and
Yeah.
process. And of course, if we are the right fit, we'll love to help you. You can always send us a DM, say career, and send us a DM on any social media channel, and our team will help you out. But if we're not a good fit, I'll be the first one to say, nope, don't do it. Like, I honestly am so transparent. I probably lose a lot of business. My coaches don't like me because they're like, why are you telling people they don't need it? They of course need it. I'm like, but no, genuinely, she just has a 4 month old. She decided to stay with the kid for another year. What am I going to help her with right now? Like, she just needs to focus on what she needs. So I'll be super transparent in, inviting you or not inviting you. And I might even give you some suggestions. So you have nothing to lose if you go through our process of like selection and conversation. And again, I'll we'll work some at some other time. And I think that's one thing
Absolutely.
I can guarantee is like if it's not in your best interest, we won't go forward. But if it's in
Yeah,
your
that
best
sounds
interest,
like you, Prasha. Like you are, you know, for you, you are not in this for the money. For you, you are in this to genuinely help other women. I see that. Like I know you for months now. You know, I can say that openly to anybody. You are in this to
oh,
actually make a difference to change lives.
love. Thank you so much, Anu. You're so kind. I promise this was not rigged.
No, it wasn't.
Anu is a real paying client, and Anu is actually a person who doubted me the longest that anybody has doubted me in the
Yeah,
program, actually.
it is.
So
I
she
know.
challenged me, and I challenged her back. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you are the right fit, I'll fight for you. I genuinely will. And if you're not the right fit, then I will let you go. But if you're the right fit, I'll fight for you till the cows come home, right? I'll be like, what do I need to do to help you get see this through, because you're going to benefit so much. And like Anu said, like that's all I want. And monetary is like business, that's of course a part of all of this equation. But you don't need to worry about the business side. You need to worry about, like, you should be in the business of yourself, right? Like, you
Yes.
progressing, you becoming the best version of yourself, you going after things that you've been sleeping on for 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. I mean, I'm like,
15 years
what?
here.
Yeah, what? Why are we wasting life? It's too precious. And you didn't
Yes.
waste your life. You were raising a family, so that's a different thing. Now you have some really great plans coming up as well. What is next for Anu before we wrap it up?
Oh, thank you, Prasha. Prasha. So definitely, I've taken a very short career break. After 20 years, it's just 1 month. What I'm doing, I'm planning for long walks and I'm practicing latte art. I'm I'm kind of doing my own project on which milk is better. You know, let's not go into it. I'm doing a flower in the latte art. It comes like a dangerous parasite. That aside, yes, definitely latte arts are not going to pay me, so job search is happening parallelly as well. So I'm looking for my next fit. Definitely that is there, but I'm very focused on launching my own coaching career, Prasha, because you have inspired me for sure. But it is also that awakening because of all the role clarity exercise that we've been going through in the last 3 months. So I knew that hand down heart, this is what I want to do. And that's something that I've already been doing because I've been helping out mothers who have to be anonymous for various reasons due to their, I've been supporting them through their
Yeah.
visa journey on how to come to this country, how to prove that you'd be able to do childcare. That is one of the
Mm,
major questions that UK government asks before they can process the visa. So I have been doing these things anyway, and I want to just shout out loud and do it officially and launch
mhm,
it officially, because that is going to, yes, I'm very good in transforming banking systems, identity and access management, all of that. I want to transform lives, Prasha. I'm 43 now.
mm.
If not now, when?
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure you will do excellent in that, and we're all here for you. And you do that, we'll all support you and cheer you on. And so now, before I let you go, Anu, what's your favorite book?
Oh, Prasha, like I'm reading Dr. Gina Cleo's Habit Revolution. I'm all about habit. I got this obsession from Atomic Habits. But however, I'm also reading some really fun book which is called Gap Year for Grown-ups. I don't know. It's not a famous author, but look at the name, Gap Year for Grown-ups. It kind of resonated. I just picked it. I'm reading it. It's about a mom who wants to go to Europe. She's just going to go on a cafe hopping and all of that. It's a very exciting story. I'm
Oh,
reading that.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anu, for your time and your
Thank
stories,
you.
and just so much knowledge that you have. I can't wait for the world to see you in your full glory very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasha. I had an amazing time. Thank you so much for the audience as well. I can't
Awesome.
see
Yeah,
who.
thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We'll be back with another episode of the Prasha Dutra Show. If you have any questions, please send us a DM. Always use the keyword career to contact me so I know where to take you from there. And then check out all the links in the episode notes once the podcast is posted everywhere. So thank you again, and I'll bring you another great guest.